Check, 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 check. All right, everybody, we're going to get started here in just a second. If you'll find a seat. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Check, check, check. Go team. I don't have my clicker. All right, I think we're going to get started. Welcome, everyone, to our second community-led data center information meeting. My name is Amanda Kirkland. I'm a Rockdale County resident, a mom, and just somebody who was worried about all these data centers and did a bunch of research, and now I want to share it with you guys. Now the interest has grown. We've got a lot more people involved now, which I'm really happy to see. But from that, it's grown into what you see today. So I'm really grateful for everybody that's gotten involved and taken the time to come out tonight. Also, those that are joining us on a live stream. If you're watching at home, we also have, there's a QR code that's available up here at the front, or also on screen on the live screen, that it links to a Google Drive folder that has a lot of different relevant documents. It's got a lot of the rezoning applications, different ordinances, all kinds of different things that pertain to this whole project, multiple projects actually. So if you scan that, it will give you access to that folder, and you can look at all those all those different files yourself with what we go over here tonight. Let's see. I'll give everybody an opportunity to scan that. Right. So while they're scanning that, also tonight, I want to mention that we have some important dates that are coming up. I'll put that up here on the screen in a moment, but the next Board of Commissioners meeting is June 9th at 10 a.m. That's going to be at the Assembly Hall. June 11th at 6 p.m. is a Planning Commission public hearing. And then I believe they announced it today that the Planning Commission has booked a special meeting for a public hearing on the UDO, which, if you're not familiar, the UDO is our huge collection of all of our ordinances. Our county is currently rewriting all of our ordinances, including those that apply to data centers and battery storage facilities. So it's important that we participate in those meetings. Excuse me. It's important that we participate in those meetings so that we have input. Because we've been to some previous meetings and there have been data center representatives there giving plenty of input. So it's important that they hear from us too. So, and that meeting is, like I said, June 18th at 6 p.m., also at the Assembly Hall. All right. So, what are we doing today? I'm going to give a brief overview of some of the projects that are going on here in Rockdale County, some that are already under construction, and as well as one that is just in the application process. This one is the one that we're going to have the most impact on. It's MMM acquisitions. I'll give you more information about that as well. We're also going to hear from Fletcher Sams from the how do you say that? Altamaha. Thank you. From the Altamaha River Keepers. Yeah, that's right. And then we also have Amy and Hannah from Science for Georgia and the Sierra Club that are here to also support, so they may add in as well. And then after that, we're going to have a segment for Q&A and discussion. So if you could, please keep your questions till the end, and then that way we can kind of keep things moving along. And for those watching at home on the live stream, you can type your questions in the chat, and we'll try to get to those before the end of the program. So let's get started. Yes. Yes. That form? And, oh, by the way, if you didn't sign in on your way in, we have Sarah is here. If you could, we'd love to. We would love to know how you found out about us. If you'd like to receive emails about future events or volunteer opportunities, feel free to sign up. You don't have to if you don't want to, but we appreciate it. Or if you'd like to give any feedback, we're happy to hear that too. Or any questions that aren't answered tonight, we would love to hear from you. So, all right, getting started. What data center projects are coming to Rockdale County? So far, we have DC blocks that was approved by our previous commissioners, including current seat 2 Commissioner Doreen Williams. That one is already under construction. Phase 1 is already started, and actually phase 2 has been cleared as well. Phase 2, here. So if you can see on the map here, hold on, I'll point to it. So this is one here. It's 72 acres. There's a second phase across the street. So this is Lester Road that runs in between the two, and Sigmund Road and Farmer that goes here. So there's phase 1, and phase 2 that is expanding is 47.5 acres. Also, let's see, here, I'll let her get that. So just to be clear, that was approved and sent through by our previous Board of Commissioners. All of that process started back in 2021. Well, the process started in 2021. They started courting Rockdale County in 2021. I hear you. She's saying that it was 2023. So, all of this has been going on for quite a while. And that was all put through by our previous board. Now, what has happened more recently, so there is another facility that is the Zurasol Treaty Oaks Battery Center. It's a battery storage facility that lives next door to it. That facility, that total property is 49 acres. It's north of DC blocks, and that was recently rezoned by our current Board of Commissioners in April of this year, and was previously zoned as residential, now heavy industrial. The construction on Zurasol, I'm not clear on if they, from what I understand, they've gotten rezoning. I'm not sure how far they are in the process as far as like building permits and if they've broken ground yet. They have? We have a resident up here that says that they have. So also across the street from that, they have also rezoned this portion of land is 18 acres. That's been rezoned for another power substation. That's about 18 acres. The survey for that one was requested by Grind Capital, which is also the company that is involved with this next one. So that's the substation. That's about 18 acres. That's across the street on Farmer Road. So that's this one here.
All right, so I appreciate you.
Yeah, please.
Are you among the people that voted for this to happen?
No, I'm just a resident. Just to clarify, my capacity in this is that I got involved in this in December watching a town hall online and started researching. I've been pulling a bunch of records requests, and I've got a bunch of documents that I'm happy to share with anybody if you want them, which a bunch of those are included in that Google Drive folder. So feel free to look through those. I've got lots.
No residents, no citizens voted.
Yeah, nobody has voted for this. So, yeah, so the DC project is already been gone through the rezoning process. It would be hard to stop that one now without causing a bunch of litigation for the county and where they could be sued by them. So, but we are wanting to keep. So the next thing, there's another one.
I know, that's what
Yeah.
instead of going through every 15, 45 and all that, the total amount of acres that they're trying to rezone and take is close to 400.
It's a lot of land. Yeah.
It's 400 acres.
Yeah. If you don't mind, let me finish because I'm getting into that. So the next one is, this is the big one. So this is the one we really need to pay the most attention to because it's so early in the process. This project is MMM Acquisitions. It's also involved with Grind Capital, who's the investment company. They also call it Project Rockforge. I haven't seen it called that in many places, but just kind of in a couple of different documents of applications. But that project is 262 acres. And that is this big green portion right here. So this is currently zoned as residential. And if you notice, see all this is houses. All this green is all residential. Here, all in here. This is thousands of people that live there. So they have applied for rezoning to transfer this from residential to heavy industrial, is what they're requesting. So that is what needs the most attention. That can be affected by the ordinances that are written into our UDO. So that's why it's very important to pay attention to the UDO ordinances that are being written, because what that does is it tells them the limits of how loud can you be, how close can you be to the property line, what are they allowed to do with the water, So if there aren't guidelines in place, then what they do is get special use permits and make special considerations for each project. But if it's written into our ordinances, it's a blanket that protects every project that applies, which is what we want. It's okay. If you don't mind, we're going to have a whole section for question and answer. Well, so that is a good question. So she was asking, how can we do that? It's important to show up at the meetings. So the next meeting, sorry, that's Fletcher's thing. But the next meeting is, there's a Board of Commissioners meeting June 9th at 10 a.m. June 11th at 6 p.m. is a Planning Commission public hearing. And then they have set aside a special meeting for public input on the UDO, and that meeting is June 18th at 6 p.m. That's going to be an important one. So we would love to have your input. We're also collecting people that are interested, like really interested in researching the UDO and getting into it and contributing to those meetings. If you want to get into that, feel free to let us know. We're going to kind of assemble a resident task force to get our ducks in a row and make sure that we're addressing this in the appropriate way. So that's the overview. Now I believe I'm going to pass it to Fletcher Sims from the Riverkeepers. Welcome, Fletcher. Yay.
Thank you all for having me. It's great to be out here when the biolab fire is not burning and I'm wearing a gas mask. So, all right, thank you very much. Why is Altamaha Riverkeeper in Rockdale County? This is the Altamaha River down here in purple, but this is the whole basin all the way up to Gainesville. And we are here right next to the Yellow River, and that's all that we do is advocate for drinkable, swimmable, fishable water in the entire basin. The reason that we focus on those three areas is because we're designed to sue polluters under the Clean Water Act. So that's what we're designed to do. I've been in the job for 7 years. I've threatened a whole bunch of people with suing them, and I've only sued the state once. So we're not very litigious, but we threaten to be. All right, so why are we worried about data centers when we cover about a quarter of the state of Georgia and we got all these pollution issues? Well, we are worried about data centers because of water loss out of the basin. Not just from the data centers, but from the power plants. And we call this thermal loss. And has anybody in this room heard of closed loop cooling systems for data centers, right? Okay, so the reason that's a hot topic is when you typically have a data center that is not, waterless, the rapid rate. Specifically in the Ocmulgee part of the basin, which is where we are now. And to kind of understand a little bit more about if waterless technology exists for this cooling, why aren't we all using it? Well, if I'm Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, I got to make money, right? And so the more money that I spend on computing, the more money I'm going to make. If I've got to spend it on all this overhead and chillers and battery backup systems and all this stuff to be greener, then I'm not making as much money, right? And this is called PUE. So it's basically saying Georgia Power is going to give me 200 megawatts to run this data center. I'm going to have to spend 100 megawatts on all this stuff that ain't going to make me money and 100 megawatts on what's going to make me money if I do it the right way. Or I can just spend most of it on what's going to make money, and we're just not going to worry about the environment, right? And so if you know who those guys are, I don't think that they're really interested in spending money on the right stuff. So in the Ocmulgee part of the basin, which is a smaller part, there are now 31 proposed data centers. Those proposed data centers are going to withdraw about 12.33 million gallons a day and only return 3 million, right? How many of those 30 data centers do you think are jumping up and down saying we got closed loop cooling systems? Every single one, right? And so that does not mean much to me. Now, why are they all clustering here? Because we have the largest coal burning facility in the Western Hemisphere that was slated to be shut down in 3 years. So we got all this available power just north of Macon at Plant Shear, right? And so, like I said, Plant Shear is the largest coal burning facility in the Western Hemisphere. It produces 3.75 gigawatts. The data center that's next to the thing is going to take 3 of those, right? And so the power requirements for these things are insane. All right, so the Middle Ocmulgee Regional Water Plan is kind of like the planning Bible for issuing permits to cities that need more water, or industries that want to come in and use the water. And it's a forward-looking plan that looks at water usage from now, 2060. And if you look at the original plan that was written 3 years ago, we're going from 280 million gallons a day to 280.5 million gallons a day. Well, with these data centers coming online and that power plant staying online, we're, instead of being at 280 million gallons a day, we're going to use 364 million gallons a day, right? This is the scary part. All right, so this is the flow in the Ocmulgee River last year, all 365 days. So 81 of those days, the flow was less than 364, right? So we got less water in the river than they're planning on pulling. 12 days last year, we had 280 million gallons, which means a lot of these cities can't pull water. You got to pull water out of reservoirs, right? Does anybody know, we got a bunch of rain the past couple of weeks, but does anybody think that we're still in a drought? Yeah, we're in a tough spot. This is the flow rate for the past year. This is where we are right now. This is where they're talking about data centers. That is a whole lot of time. And I'm a very conservative advocate when I'm looking at numbers. And so when I say it's 364, that's what's published. I don't have data on half of those 31 data centers, right? So I'm not factoring it in. It's probably closer to like 400 something million. So that's why we're here. Georgia Power currently, just to give you an idea of like the power consumption for these data centers, all of the power plants that Georgia Power has right now in the current moment is almost 15 gigawatts, 15. Just the data centers in the Ocmulgee are going to take over 12, right? But the PSC, the state officials that regulate the power company, they got asked by the power company, hey, we need all this new power for the data center, so they're going to add 10 more gigawatts, right? So there's no end in sight to this data center boom. So what are we here to do? We're here to talk about the active data center that is on the plate right now, not ones that are under construction. Going back, just to kind of get to a point real quick that I failed to make. That is a big piece of property, right? There are 1,000 things that I need to do, 100 things that I have to do, and like 10 things that I can do, right? So I'm trying to focus on stopping this one is my prime focus in Rockdale County, right? And Project Rock Forge is just like everybody else. They're going to pull about 120,000 gallons a day and only return 60. So they're going to lose 50% of their water, right, to evaporation. That's bad news. So that's why I'm here as Riverkeeper. Now, water issues are only part of the data center rubric, right? You're going to have traffic issues, air quality issues, noise issues, all this stuff that Amy's going to talk to you about. Amy, raise your hand. All the way in the back, and answer all your questions on that. But I just wanted to explain why this person's named after this weird river that I've never heard of is up in Rockdale County. Now you understand. So how do we fight this? So we work in 56 counties, and we have killed and gotten denials on 4 data centers, and we have injunctions on 2. So we are kind of like working out the playbook on how to deal with this. Now, who thinks that the EPA is going to stop? No, they got a white glove service. If you need an air permit, they'll help you expedite it through the states and everything, right? State of Georgia paused regional impact studies so that like Rockdale County didn't have to listen to its neighbors complain about water usage that they were going to suck up for this data center, even though it impacted neighboring municipalities. And the regulators for the energy production are just green lighting everything that they are asked for, right? So the feds and the state are not really the roadblock to bad decisions, which means that the local control is the roadblock for bad decisions. Now, as a local environmental advocate, it's real tough for me to get the attention of the governor. It's real easy for y'all to get the attention of your county commissioner. They go to church, they go to the grocery store, and it's real easy to make a county commissioner worried about going to the grocery store and hearing the conversations they are going to encounter, right? So, this is a local decision that the state and Fed are probably not going to be a roadblock to. And this is the most important and critical junction in this process, is trying to kill these kind of developments at the county level or making them less impactful. And so there are two legal documents that the county has to abide by: the UDO, the Unified Ordinance, and the Comprehensive Plan. Now, as Amanda mentioned, they're rewriting all of this, but this is like, for a civics lesson, this is the legislation that this is law. They have to abide by this stuff, right? And so an example that I'm going to try to talk about is when this hearing occurs, you're going to have an opportunity for public input. All of your public input needs to roll back to code sections and pages out of these two legally documents, because you need to provide the county the information that they will violate their own laws and regulations if they pass this, so that you have the legal standing to challenge it after. Like I said, the most recent thing that we've done is Jones County now has a home rule challenge, where they challenge the decision that the county commissioners made and violated their own ordinance. The judge agreed with them, and now they're collecting petitions so that they can put the data center on the ballot where the whole county gets to vote about it, right? So there are remedies at the local level, and that's where you're most effective. So that's why I'm here, is to kind of walk you through. Those two documents are the only thing that matters, and your county commissioners are not the EPA. They're not worried about the Endangered Species Act. They're not worried about the Air Pollution Act, unless they codified it, right? And you have two chances here. You have a chance to help write the legislation that you want to keep irresponsible data centers from coming to Rockdale County, and you have the opportunity to enforce this even if the county commissioners don't. Thank y'all for having me. Hopefully that was informative. Amy, you're going to talk about stuff that's not water, or water stuff too?
Hi, y'all. All right. I cannot stress enough that Fletcher has been instrumental in blocking multiple data centers around the state. So please listen to the advice he has to say about the UDO. I didn't know what a UDO was until about 3 months ago, and now people quote them to me all the time. So when they're saying here that they need your help to comb through the UDO and see how these data centers will violate the UDO, that is like critical. That is the thing that you need, because you need to give the county reasons to turn things down that are legal. All right, cool. I'm Amy Sharma. I'm with the Science for Georgia. A long time ago, when I first graduated college, which was really a long time ago now, I used to build chips for IBM. And so when these data centers started coming to Georgia, turns out when there's a lobbyist with an MBA who's like trying to explain computers to me, it's really fun to be like, who has a PhD in engineering? Not you. So that is how I got stuck in this thing. But Fletcher went over a lot of stuff, but I was asked to come here today to kind of give you guys the nuts and bolts of what these things are. I'm going to go fast because Fletcher covered a lot of what I already covered, but here we go. All right, so what are they? Data centers existed since the invention of the internet. They're where the cloud sits, right? So all of our cat videos and like deep fakes and all that stuff have to live somewhere. The only thing, and we do have the average, like, my kids die when the internet goes off because they're like, I can't even access my online games. And I'm like, do you want to watch something on the VCR? So we did this, but like, no one cares about these cloud storage facilities. They've been existing for years. They're not really a big deal. What Fletcher's talking about and what you guys are freaking out about are these hyperscale AI data centers. These things are massive. Massive is like, they're bonkers. And they're all high computing, which if you're like computers thinking a lot, it gets really hot while it's sitting on your lap. That's what's in these AI data centers, and that's why they use so much water. That's why they need so much electricity. I am an AI optimist. I feel like at some point in time, AI will help us, like cure cancer and stuff. But we don't need to like overrun the land with these giant things. Also, by the way, if we give all our natural resources to the AI overlords, like the rich guys in California are just going to be richer, and we're going to end up with even worse mill towns than we already have in Georgia. Like, we do not need to be the wrong side up to the tracks for the entire country. All right, that's all I have to say about them. So yeah, they're giant. They're huge, and don't be fooled. Like, when Google comes to your town and they say they're going to spend $1 billion, we used to be like, wow, $1 billion, that's like 400 factory jobs and like Applebee's and Walmart and schools. It's $1 billion to build a giant building with no one in it. There are no jobs. And if you listen to the AI crazy dudes in California, honestly, tech bros, right? They're all like slightly spectrum. They've never been on a date, and they like want to get rid of humans. They're actively working to get rid of the 30 humans that staff this. All right, so, and they employ less than a McDonald's. Hotspots were considered rather rich. And I know Fletcher just went through like how we're not water rich right now, but we have way more water than like Arizona. And we asked them to come here. Not you guys. Like, obviously you guys didn't, but like economic development authorities have been courting these guys like crazy because they think they're going to bring a lot of property tax values. The problem is we have memos and stuff now showing how much property tax they're letting them not pay. So not only are we inviting them to our towns and all they are bringing us is property taxes, we are then giving them deals on their property tax. So they're paying about half to a quarter to even 10% of really what the property taxes they owe. Where are they? They're just freaking everywhere. There's a map. But when we started doing this, there were about 25 planned data centers. There are now 75 planned data centers. If they build every planned data center in the state, it's going to use 25 megawatts of power. We currently have 25 gigawatts. Sorry, I left that off. We currently have 17 gigawatts of operating power. Fletcher just said that they have approved building 10 gigawatts more. It's all using coal and natural gas, which all use an enormous quantity of water and, oh, by the way, are bad for your lungs and things like that. So, and just take a gander. They're coming here. We're building our power infrastructure for them. Who do you think is going to pay for that? All right, cool. All right, you guys aren't stupid. Also, we're giving them tax breaks. The state has lost $2.5 billion just this year. All right, cool. Anyways, and your power bills are going up. Are your power bills going up? All right, cool. They're going to go up even more. We just covered the whole 10 gigawatts of power generation that you're going to have to pay for. Okay, so they will claim the Public Service Commission has a rule going to make the data centers pay for power generation. That is only if those data centers show up and actually draw the power. If they do not, Georgia Power gets to build 10 gigawatts of power they are guaranteed a return on their investment. I want to work for a company where if I make a crappy investment deal, somebody bails me out, and that is Georgia Power. So they cannot lose money. They can build 10 gigawatts of extra power, never sell a dime of it, but they will get completely reimbursed for the construction costs of building all those power plants. Anyway, so that's going to happen. Environmental issues. We don't know anything about this. Everything is under an NDA. But we're guessing. All right, and we're good at because we're scientists and we use science. And sorry, I have to get that in there too. Immediate vicinity of these giant behemoths, noise and light pollution. They produce like a low-level hum. Low-level hums increase your stress response, which literally make you go like crazy and also give you heart disease. Water runoff, if they're not built properly, you've got a giant impervious surface. Also, the power connections. I'm going to see if this is in here. There you go. Our good friends down in Fayette County, this is a house. This is a high-tension power line that they ran literally through someone's front yard to power the QTS data center. So, yeah, all right. So if you're not watching in these ordinances that are built, Georgia Power run these power lines like down a highway and not through your front yard. But the cheapest way is just to run them through your front yard in a straight line. So this is a thing you have to be on the watch for in your ordinances, is to make sure there's a power plan and that the transmission lines are run not through someone's front yard. Also, that's not really good for your property value. Heat islands. They're so freaking hot, they create heat islands. So you're creating microclimates. What a disaster. When the power goes out, they're run by diesel generators, which is like just tons of smog and fog. Also, it's a strain on water. And anyways, it's just bad. Fun fact, Virginia, they just did a study. Operating the generators just to test them creates the same public health impacts as 5 power plants the size of a large gas-fired power plant. Like, these are not like just like your neighbor's diesel generator that they run at their tailgate. Like, this is the real deal. That's also, they're repossessing eminent domain. It's happening in our state. All right, Fletcher went over this. Oh, hey, we're in a drought. Is it all a bubble? Yes. These guys are crazy. Does anyone remember the internet, like when it first came out, like the 2000s, and like it was going to be great, and then it was like 2001 and everybody lost their job? Now we can't live without the internet. This is like a defined economic cycle. We are at the very top of the peak of inflated expectations. It's going to be a real rocky road. So I feel like we're going to end up with a bunch of giant husks of like burned out shells around here, and no one's going to have any money to clean them up. All right. But there is hope. Mr. Rogers wants us to feel good. Ordinances, and this is where you all come in. One, they should be zoned heavy industrial. They should not rezone residential to heavy industrial. Good freaking gravy. But yes, make sure your costs aren't passed on to your town. Where will it all go? I showed you those power lines. Where will they all go, right? Testing of wastewater for chemicals, that's key. Water use plan. We're in a drought. They need more water when we need more water. Do you guys like want to like not drink? I'd rather have water. All right, but that's not in their ordinance. Like a lot of these things, there is no water use plan in times of drought. Those are negotiated separately. So that has to be in there. Noise abatements, you can make them use dark sky lighting. Backup power from non-polluting sources. Surety bonds, end-of-life planning. When a landfill opens in the state, it has to have a surety bond on it. So that way when it's done, you can close it up properly and like build a golf course on it or whatever. These are things that our state knows how to do. So if this thing becomes like a hollowed out shell, you all have the insurance to turn it back into something else. Also, if you like make all this in your ordinance, they'll just go away. Because this is a lot. We're asking a lot of them. So ask a lot of them. Transparent reforming, community benefit plans, higher local, all the things. There's like a town in Arkansas that managed to get Google to put a bunch of money into a weatherization fund so that way all the local homes could lower their energy bills. All right. Yeah, the legislature did nothing about this year. I know you're shocked. Our elected officials did nothing. They talked about it a lot. There were over a dozen bills. Most of them were good. None of them got passed. So when Fletcher says you have to fight this on the local level, Fletcher's not kidding. No one's coming to save you. You guys have to save yourselves. So you can advocate. And Hannah has this great toolkit. Hannah's here too. I'm throwing you under the bus now. Congratulations. Hannah created a great local resource toolkit that you guys all got a pamphlet for. But we're not kidding. Fletcher's gotten multiple ones shut down. When 300 people show up at a community council meeting and they're angry about something, people listen. Because normally there's only like one guy at a community council meeting and he's wearing a tinfoil hat. So if all y'all come to the community council meeting and you all are very uniform in your asks and you are on target with that UDO, right? Like not just, I hate these things because of whatever, and yes, I hate them because they're stupid too, but like that's not a legal argument. You need like the UDO says that we're supposed to increase the property value for the people in our town. How on earth is a transmission line through my neighbor's front yard gonna make my property value go up, right? We're supposed to, I don't know, have green space. I don't know what's in your UDO, but you guys need to comb through that UDO and you need to be very specific with your demands. I'm gonna leave this up. That's all I had to say. I don't know what's happening. All right, it's all you.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm back. So now we are in the Q&A portion. So what we are going to ask is that try to keep it limited time-wise. We're going to limit it to 3 minutes per person, just so we can keep things moving along. Also, we have a limited amount of time on the live stream. Of course, you're more than welcome to just hang out and have discussions once we end the official Q&A. But so, yes. So this is the question. Microphone keeps cutting out. Sorry. Did
Hello?
you have a question? Yes, ma'am.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi.
I have more of a statement than a question. My statement is all of us here, every single person that did show up, on the next meeting, hopefully we'll have another one soon, if everyone bring it with everyone that you know in Rockdale County.
Thank you. Here, Ree's going to help with the mic. All right. Who's next? And I'm going to do my best to answer your questions. And, of course, we have additional resources here, too. So, and if not, I'd be happy to look it up and find out for you if I can. But please, yes. Oh, yes. That's another thing. If you didn't sign in when you got here, we'd appreciate it. There's also a section at the bottom. If you have any questions or any questions that weren't answered tonight, you can add that to that or email us. We'd be happy to help with however we can, connect you with the information that you need. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Good evening. My question is about the UDOs. I know the significance of them. Do we have examples from other counties, other states that we can use as a template so we're not starting reinventing? Okay.
Georgia's a very diverse state geologically, and we have all these ecoregions, and some of the issues that you'll see at other data centers that if you had those same conditions here in Rockdale County, you would want to include them, but Rockdale County needs Rockdale County's ordinance, and we're working with I think 9 counties now in cities on different ordinances, and none of them look the same, right? And so what I do encourage is like Amy and Hannah have a toolkit, and like there's going to be a whole lot of stuff in that toolkit that is universal, like decommission bonding, environmental surety bonding, prohibiting evaporative loss of water coming out, right? Like noise and low frequency vibration requirements, buffering requirements, things like that are pretty universal, but then there'll be like source water protection. Everything below MMM is like, there's not a drinking water intake within 7 miles, so there's no protections there that the county or the state or the federal government applies, so there wouldn't be any need to do that there. But I am more than happy, and I'm sure the other folks are more than happy to help you.
And we are asking for volunteers. Who will work with Fletcher and team on creating a UDO language.
So just a sidebar, several of us that have been participating for the last many months, 6-7 months, we've been going to all of these planning commission meetings, and we've been going to the meetings looking at the UDOs, and so we're very familiar with those already. So if there's anybody that would like to help us, come see me at the end, okay? We got one over here too when you finish.
Oh, okay. Question. Okay, let him ask his question. Go
Yep.
ahead.
Can you verify those dates? I think you said it was June 9th, 11th, and the 18th.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yeah, there's a meeting June 9th at 10 a.m., the 11th at 6 p.m., and the 18th is at 6 p.m. as well. And those are all at the Assembly Hall. Yeah, if you show up with enough people, they'll move us to the other bigger building next door.
Oh, you have a question?
Yes, ma'am. So those dates, they should be, we'll include it on the Facebook page too, as well as, I'll send it out in emails. This will not be the last you hear of those dates.
Okay,
but yes, again, those dates are June 9th is the Board of Commissioners. June 11th is the Planning Commission, and that's at 6 p.m. And then the special UDO meeting, the meeting that they set aside just for input, public input on the UDO, is the 18th at 6 p.m. at the Assembly Hall. All right.
Okay, we have a question over here.
Next question. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I have 2 questions.
Sure.
And I know it sounds a bit drastic, but maybe start a petition to impeach those commissioners, whoever's there. Just start something and start cleaning those people out. At least you can scare them to death. Okay, that's what I would suggest.
Yes.
But trying to get along, and all of that don't work. My other one is, instead of trying to make peace with these people, why don't we just try to find out what they're doing? Like in California, I'm from the West Coast, I'm from Oregon. And you know these those vane things that does electricity?
Wind
You're shaking
turbines.
yeah. Why don't we do that and just trash all this stuff? I mean, you know what I'm saying? We are up here beating a dead horse. These people have got this laid out, okay?
I hear you.
First, let's start impeaching the commissioners, and then let's invite some of those people with the veins, the weather,
for more renewable energy. So what she's mentioning is I have heard talk of people trying to make a petition to recall the commissioners. There are some specific guidelines that you have to meet in order to do that. Corliss has them here. It's very specific, and you have to meet a certain threshold of them breaking certain rules. Yeah, they have to break the rules and they're very careful. So,
Yeah.
But yes, there
I was
is
just gonna
talk
say,
of that.
yeah,
Please go ahead.
I did contact the elections official about a recall, and she said she had not been contacted about a recall ever in Rockdale County. She sent me the information, and it is a certain threshold. You have to meet with a number of registered voters during that time that the person was elected. And also for Georgia, and it's not this way in every state, for Georgia, they have to violate, and they have criteria they have to violate in order to. And
To
we may have it,
officially
but we have to do
recall.
some investigation and see if they actually
Yeah,
violate it.
it is worth looking into, though. I believe. Yeah, the petition threshold of the number. Yeah, because I believe even to start it, to get it on a ballot, you have to have a certain number of signatures, and then once it gets on a ballot, you have to have a certain number that actually vote to throw them out before they'll actually do it, and then they have a new one. We are looking into it, so we'll keep looking for more information on that. Yes.
This is a question for
yes, please.
Fletcher Sam.
Yeah, here you go.
So what I may have missed something. The closed loop system, you're saying that even when they advertise that they have a closed water loop system, they're still going to lose 90% of the water?
Right, I'll tell you
Yeah.
the exact specifics
Yeah.
on Project Rockforge are
Yeah.
it's going to have a 0.1248 million gallon a day intake and a 0.06241 million gallon a day return. So that's 50% loss.
Oh, wow. And what about when they say they have water reclamation, like the Amazon is proposing in Covington?
If they're intaking, I mean, it's an arithmetic thing.
Okay.
It's not fancy science,
Okay.
right? Like if they take in $1 million
Okay.
and put back $500,000,
So either way, it's...
they didn't hide it.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. I was
Yeah.
just... Okay.
They evaporated it. It's gone. And so, but the marketing play is saying, oh, it's closed loop, thinking that everyone's going to think that's waterless, but it's just not. It's just marketing.
I'd like to add to that the whole tout of being a closed loop system is a misnomer. None of them are truly closed loop. There will be leaching. There will be runoff. There will be contamination to our water. When they say closed loop, it's just a matter of, well, it's only a little bit that's going to contaminate as opposed to the ones that are not deemed closed loop. So there is not really truly a closed loop system.
Can I do just a little bit of housekeeping?
Yes, please.
Because we are asking people to raise their hands, and we've had this lady with her hand up for a while, and this gentleman with his hand up. So if you guys could just raise your hand, and I
please do.
promise you, I used to run track. I will come and get you.
Yeah,
okay?
go
All
for
right.
it.
My question is, we talked about ordinance in different cities and counties. We just got some information that now Stonecrest is now going to have to fight their data center that they're trying to go ahead and put right down the street from Rockdale. So that's going to have effect on us too. So how do we assist them with fighting them off?
I should know the answer to this question, but has Stonecrest already gone through the rezoning and special conditions approval? Has the city council voted on it? I'm happy to help. But same process. The difference is in Stonecrest, it's going to be their comprehensive plan and their UDO. So it's just a different set. It's like playing lawyer in a different book, right? Like that's all that the difference is, but it's the same playbook. But I'm happy to look through it, and I wasn't aware of that one. So came out today. Yeah. Well, that's the new normal for me.
Good
Yes,
evening.
ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Kim. I don't know how many people here that live in Covington, but I live in Covington off Salem Road. So as far as the data centers are concerned, I have been attacking it from a different way, from an environmental health issues. So I don't know where the biolab was here in Rockdale County, but we have what you call the Becton Dickinson Medical Center that is exposing anybody that live in zip code 30014, yes, to a lot of toxins. I live in District 3, which is off Salem and Kirkland, which is kind of like disappearing because they keep redistricting. But we are saturated with gas stations. And I just happen to, and I love doing research because I did that when I was in the Army for 30 years. And based on my research, Covington sits in one of the most saturated toxins plates based on the number of gas stations, 12 within the 5-mile radius from my house, data centers that they building, and that medical center, what you were talking about in 30014. I just invited Fletcher to come to Newton County to work with us. He's absolutely right. You got to get smart on that UDO. Last night at our BOC meeting, I was hot. I know this don't have anything to do with data center, but I'm linking it to UDO. They put an auto zone at the corner of Brown Bridge and Kirkland when we already have one on Salem. They get these corporate lawyers, and all night I couldn't catch it, but I caught it when I got home. He go back and forth for CG, commercial general, then commercial and conditional use. You have to understand how the UDO work for your county, and that's why I invited Fletcher to come work with us in Newton County, because we're getting the industrial boom. It is coming down there to District 5, Staten Springs, Social Circle, Rivian, car plant. We getting all kind of stuff down there, and they just want to put data centers everywhere, and it is a health environment. So start looking at it from a health environment. And Fletcher's right. EPA is not coming out with anything because it's been rolled back with all the regulations to come out and regulate all this stuff. So just, I wanted to put that out, looking at it from a health point of view. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Oh, of course. Yeah, anytime. All right. We've got back here in the back. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I'm Dee Jones Davis with Hill Atmosphere Association. So somebody mentioned something about the closed loop system. Our organization went down to the Colossus Data Center in Memphis, Tennessee. And I can tell you from what we physically suffered from just being there for an hour. When you drive down, before you even get to it, we stayed at the airport. You can smell the gas. It is in your lungs. The air looks horrible. And as we drove down the strip, you can see the methane turbines glitching in the air. And they have transformers, a whole electric grid system there. The bodies of water are still. We all know, environmental people here, that water is supposed to move. No water is moving. You see no birds flying. You don't even see dogs or cats walking around. And so Boxtown is that neighborhood that was, you probably saw it in Newsweek, it made international news. We drove through there. It looks like an apocalyptic zone. So when we first saw the news story, someone did pictures and video. When we drove down there, it said no pictures and video. And then when we tried to turn around, the next business on there, because it's all industrial strip, you can't turn around here. So I said, okay, they're watching us. So we turned around in the middle of the street, and when we got back to the hotel, physically ill, sick, just being there for an hour. So that is the real-time effects. And so when I've talked to different scientists and data, these AI people, I said, this is not sustainable for human health because water is not supposed to be still. And then that means that affects the air. Oh, that it is horrible. So that's the real-time effect. So that is what we physically observed 4 months prior about whatever they're talking about is a closed-loop system. They're lying to the people. That's what we saw. So I would be working with whoever here in our organization. We travel around to these places and see these things. But that's all I wanted to make the comment about. Someone was talking about the closed-loop system.
Thank you.
So some of y'all know I'm actually from Memphis, and I too was in Memphis this past weekend, and she is telling you the truth. I grew up in that same area, and it does not look like it did 30 years ago. So,
yeah, that's something that I feel like we're going to experience here once the first first one is up and running, it's gonna. And honestly, if you haven't driven past the site yet, I recommend that you do it. Farmer Road in Salem. Drive there, take a look at it. It is shocking. And that what's under construction already is half of what they want to put there. So, yeah. Yeah, down Rockbridge, they're clearing there too. Yes, ma'am.
What we have to consider is what it's going to do for us.
Mm-hmm.
And what it's going to do for us, it's going to kill us. Don't admit it. They taking the water. You cannot live without water. So, and our congressman and everybody, the first lady that stood up she made a valid point. We voted for them, okay? That's who we need to put in the hot seat, because we cannot fight these big businesses. So,
well, and like you was
whether it's gonna
saying,
be
we're going to have the most impact with our county commissioners.
and that's who we need to put in the hot seat.
That's the
Because
key.
you got to ask yourself, what is this doing for you? We like our computers, but this ain't for computers. This is to control you, because these little chips going in these computers getting smaller and smaller and smaller. How in the heck we need buildings bigger and bigger and bigger?
Yeah.
Don't let them fool you, because if they say it's 3, it's going to be 4 or 5.
Yeah. Well, and something that I didn't point out earlier, but so DC Blocks is just the like. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe it. Somebody's got to pay for it. I agree with you. So as she was talking about, we don't know what company is putting their servers in this building. So DC Blocks they build the house for the servers, but other companies rent the space and put their servers in there. When we've asked them because they've said they've signed contracts with companies that are going to place their servers there, when we ask them, they will not tell us. Exactly. Was there another question? Yes, sir? Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. You're next.
It's working. Oh, it is working.
Okay, I see.
I've been doing a lot of research online, trying to find out the pros and cons of data centers. And of course, I watched a video with Kevin O'Leary talking about the AI race and how we have to stay ahead because of China and other countries. So what do you say to people when they say that to you? Because there is an AI race. And also, when I was walking up, there was a man over here.
I'm gonna.
Can you hear me?
Or you want to? Here.
Sure. Do you know how many hyperscale data centers China has?
I do not.
400. You want to take a stab at how many we got?
A lot.
4,500 and growing.
That's good to know then. Yeah. That makes me feel better. One more thing. When I was walking over here, there was a gentleman, I was asking him where the meeting was, and he said, well, why are you against it? I have a job there. And I didn't know as much as I just found out tonight. But when people ask you these questions, is there somewhere we can go so we know how to answer
that makes
them?
sense. I mean, there are jobs coming from construction, and then that's it. And now, honestly, and how many of those construction workers live in Rockdale County? And here.
And so go back to the comprehensive plan, right? It'll talk about economic development and good high-paying jobs that they want to recruit to Rockdale County. There is only so much power that can go into Rockdale County, and if the data center gets it, you're not going to get the factory with good paying jobs, right?
So I was asked to answer the nerd question, so I'm really excited about it. Two things. We have to separate AI from the hyperscale data centers. Right now, the hyperscale data centers are what they're using to do AI because they're lazy and they're just going for the cheapest solution. It's literally like how Russians fight land wars. They are just throwing bodies at the problem. And they are saying that they need it cheaper and faster and that they need all the water and all the energy so that we can beat China at this random ass game that they've made up in their heads. They do not need it. They can try harder. I am an engineer. You were asking this question. In 10 years, they won't need any of these data centers. They will have come up with a new technical solution to the AI problem. So the only reason they're doing this is because it's the cheapest and fastest solution, and we're letting them get away with being lazy engineers because we're not making them pay for it. So think about it. The US Navy is gonna want AI. They cannot put a hyperscale data center on an aircraft carrier, can they? I mean, those things are big. They're not that big. So all of this stuff, we want AI at the edge, which means these giant hyperscale data centers will be obsolete in 10 or 15 years. So that's one answer, is technology is always evolving, and we're America, damn it, we put people on the moon, we can do better. That's my favorite answer. And it's just a metaphor that the tech bros are saying so they can get more tax credits. And then the jobs thing is 100%. Do we want to be another Milltown, or do we want to be at the forefront of the technology revolution? And if we're at the forefront of the technology revolution, we cannot be there if we've wasted all our resources on building these giant ass boxes and killing all our people. So there you go.
We have 4 questions. The question is right here, then this lady, and we're going to go down the road because she's had her hand up for a while.
Yeah.
And I just want to ask a question. How many people have bought brand new laptops in the last 10 years? How many have you bought in 10 years? I got 2, and I'm about to buy another one because she's right. Huh? Oh, Hannah? Okay.
Hannah wanted to add one more thing.
No, you're all good. Just on a more hopeful note type thing. On the topic of yes, data center, no data center, ultimately that should be up for you as community members to decide. And the fact is, a lot of you are being felt like that you are left out of the room, and that is not how it's supposed to be. So one of the things as you go through these data center fights that I want you to think about is, if this is an industry that will not benefit your community, and all of you collectively firmly believe that, you can start thinking, what industry can benefit my community? Dream more about what your community's future can be, and learn from other people's communities as well. That's just my quick note.
Hi, I just had a follow-up kind of question, comment. Is it true that Georgia will now take the lead of the most data centers? It was Virginia, and now Georgia is now #1 in the nation.
Yes. Amy says the most under development. Yes, ma'am.
So I wanted to go to the lady that mentioned in the blue hat. You mentioned, how do you tell the person who's working for the data center why we don't want it here? We really, like the woman over here said, and someone over here, we have to stop being nice, and we have to get really brutal about how you explain people will die. People are dying now. People are getting sick now. I can already see it. All the little class action settlements and lawsuits are going to happen 10, 15 years from now, but you're not going to be able to appreciate that because you're going to be too ill. And I think I have already had this conversation with so many people, and it disappointed me that they didn't understand we will literally run out of water. We will run out of water. And I always ask the question, and I said this at the last town hall meeting when I was talking to the DC Blocks people. I said, this is not sustainable. And what I didn't get to finish was, what happens when the water becomes dark and we can't drink it? And when, in other places, we have to ship water in, which doesn't make any sense. What happens when the air is too thick? And so this goes back to the UDO issue. I will volunteer to be in the UDO meeting. But I wanted to say, how do we put in the UDOs the current approved, or regulations for the current approved data center, since we can't get rid of it right now? What is the boundary? Can we say, okay, we've lost 75% of our water, you need to stop? Or the air is making X number of people sick, or X number of people have died? Like, what boundary or what threshold can we create and put in the UDO for the currently approved?
I think that's a
data
great
center?
question. Do you guys have any input on that? Because it really, I think, depends on the specifics of the legal language. What are your
Yeah, so after it's approved and grandfathered in, if they violated the law, you usually have a 30-day window to file some sort of injunction to challenge that. That's way gone, right? And so what you're seeing at places like Stanton Springs, right down the road, they're filing private property damage claims against Meta, right? And they're going to win, right? But that's like affecting their drinking water with all the blast and bad construction practices, doing a lot of runoff, and all those people are on well water. The question I've got is, around these properties, I can look on the satellite and see some well houses. Even though they have municipal water, there still may be some folks that are drinking that, right? They're going to get impacted, but that is a private suit for later. Now, we have had, in the deliberations, when there's like an application in front, we've gotten special conditions where the developer will go and test your wells at their cost with the lab that we pick, and you'll have a baseline. And if that changes during construction, you got the proof that they've messed it up, right? But that's more like private lawsuits. But then the other thing that we're doing is they've got to construct these things. They're not doing that properly in a lot of places. There's a lot of runoff. And so if you want to be proactive, we can train you to take water samples now downstream of these things, and when we have them violating constantly, then we can file a Clean Water Act suit.
Okay. Say that, in fact, that's an activity that we plan to have for the group. If you'd like to get certified to, or be trained to collect those water samples, that's something that we're working on getting started. So if anybody would like to, be sure you have your email on the list, and we'll send it out.
Okay. I just wanted to say, when I went to the town hall, I stayed toward the end, and the guy from DC Block was trying to keep selling us on how wonderful it is. So I asked him, would you want a data center in your area? He said no. I said, well, how many of them are in Milton, Johns Creek, and those areas? He was like, and then also, if you go back and look at the town hall meeting from our on the channel, because they didn't put it up originally, Janice. So I sent her an email, then I sent her another email, then I sent her another email. So I'm gonna send it every hour or 2 hours to make sure so that we can see it. Also, there's runoff. They ask him, when you have data, what do you do with the runoff? And where is he gonna dump that? His question, he was like, I don't know. If you go back and look at sit through the whole thing, you might have to pause it because it's saying 4 hours, but I don't know at what point they stopped it at, because I meant to finish looking at the whole thing, but they didn't know. So that means that we're gonna have contamination dumped somewhere, and we don't know where they're gonna dump it, because it could be in the middle of the night when we're all sleeping in our beds and just dump it in areas. You have to think about, are they gonna dump it near the schools? Are they gonna dump it like out in this area, Yellow River, this area, but could still contaminate anything that we have? But he didn't want them in his area.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, they're not building them in Buckhead, are they?
No.
Well, they're smaller scale, not hyperscale. There are not hyperscale facilities in Buckhead. Yes, ma'am.
My name's Colleen.
Hi,
and
Colleen.
I'm glad to be here again. Nice to see you again. This is for Fletcher, because I want you to answer my question that I answered or asked you over there. Why can't they use micronuclear reactors? When will that happen? Why can't they put these up in space? When will that happen? And it's obvious that these are going to be obsolete in less than 10 years.
I think that goes back to kind of what Amy was saying about how technology is going to advance, and the way that they're doing it is the cheapest way that they can find to do it. Also here in Rockdale County, because there's water and a big fiber network that runs right through here. And that's why they're not putting it out in the boonies. They're putting it in a residential area because that's where all the resources are. That's where people are, next to the resources. So,
So
what are your thoughts?
They are doing both they're going to do both at the same time, right? And so Department of Energy has cut a bunch of red tape that Amy could give you a lot more specifics about, and they're going to fast track small modular reactors, and that's happening right now. And that'll probably be eventually what powers these. However, the last time that Georgia Power added 1 gigawatt of power, do you know where they did it? Anybody? All right. It's a little place called Plant Vogel, right? Does anybody know how much ratepayers paid for that 1 gigawatt? $30 billion, right? It was projected at the beginning to be less than 10, right? And so the way that the PSC and the power company work is they go through rate cases every 3 years. The power company says, we want to build this and we want to charge customers for it, right? And the PSC, their regulators, say, sure, whatever you want, and like give them authorization. And so the way that the power company makes money is they're guaranteed a profit. It's one of the highest in the country. It's around 12% profit margin, no matter what. That's what they are guaranteed to recoup from his way to print money, and that's how they make their money. So that's definitely going to happen, and at the same time, the small modular reactors are going to happen, if that makes sense and answers your question. Yep. If these data centers get built at all to actually use the power, right?
Can I just say one thing? I do know I've seen everybody's questions. We've been going to these meetings for a very long time, and we've gotten very accustomed to using language but one of the things I said at the last meeting is we need to use the right language. For the purpose of this discussion, we are talking about hyperscale data centers. So when we say data centers, it's because we've been talking about it for 8 months. But we are talking about hyperscale data centers, which is not in Suwannee, which is not in Alpharetta or Johns Creek. So I don't want to have anyone else misconstrue that again. The other thing that I want to say is some of the things that have been clarified by our own leadership team is the talks that were initiated that brought the first data center here, which is DC Blocks. The county solicited them. Came right out of the person's mouth. He said to us, they made a call in the state, and we answered the call to bring them here. And they talked for years before they actually got to the place where they voted on it. So that was straight from the horse's mouth. So we're not delivering any information that we have not heard ourselves from the people that have been participating in this whole process. But we are talking about, for tonight, MMM acquisitions, which is the only thing that we have the power to do anything about, and they are correct. It needs to be done with the UDOs, okay? Question.
Well, I guess, good evening again. So it's not really a question per se, but
Hi.
just a kind of a friendly reminder. I know we were talking about our elected officials, and we've got a runoff coming up June 16th, and we can start early voting on Saturday, June 6th. And we've got a position for County Commission Post 2 that we should be looking at. And one of the persons that is running is one of the individuals that voted yes for this data center a while ago. So please don't forget her name, Doreen Williams. Doreen Williams is on the ballot.
What was the date of the runoff, the election? The 16th? Early voting starts on Saturday. Everybody go vote. It's between Mims and Doreen Williams.
Remember those names, write them down.
She was back and forth and wasn't going to commit to it, but now she is saying no. So we don't know if she really means it or it's simple what I'm saying. She's the only one again. Mims.
Yes. Check. So, also, again, I want to remind people to sign in with Sarah here. If you haven't signed in, please do. Appreciate it. Yes.
My question is, I keep hearing about county commissioners. You also have to get your state legislation involved too, because they can make laws at the state level. And it's amazing how the state of Georgia is the epicenter for these hyperscale data centers and these corporate landlords invitation home. We got a lot of work to do. But this is my question that I want to ask to Rockdale County, because I live in Newton. Where's all the money going? Because I was born at night, but I wasn't born last night. Now, I know we got one in Newton. I want to say it's Amazon. And I'm always on Amazon because my mom said the truck is always there. So if Amazon has a data center, I'm just thinking, now I made F's in math, so the ones that are good in math, just help me to understand, if they paying taxes, why don't we have enough where the seniors don't have to pay property taxes? That's what I don't understand. The math is not mathing on these data centers. So we're going to have to dig in that too. Thank you.
So here in Rockdale County, our development authority gave our data centers 10 years of tax abatements. It is going to, so that means they don't have to pay their full share of the taxes that they would on that property for 10 years. It does taper up. So in the first year they pay nothing, and it also increases as the buildings come online. So they don't get taxed until they're complete and up and running too, by the way.
That's what I wanted to address.
Yeah, please do.
The economic impact that this is having in our community. This first came to light to me back at the beginning of the year, so I've been doing some research, like the young lady said earlier. And the one thing that I find is that the community doesn't really benefit financially from these data centers. First of all, they give them tax breaks, like you said, and then they don't supply enough jobs to offset that tax break or enough revenue. And that means that we're paying to build these data centers that's going to destroy our neighborhoods.
Yeah, there's people making lots of money off of this, but they don't live here.
Is if these people voting for this knows that this is not economically viable to increase our community, why are they voting for this?
I think that's a very good question.
Why are they voting for this? And the current state of our government is pay to play.
That's a very good question.
I just wanted to touch on the jobs that the data centers are actually creating, which we know that it's only going to be between 10 to 14. And even if they could source locally, they've already proven that they aren't going to. My family owns an industrial pressure washing company in the Rockdale County area. We've been here for over 30 years. There's multiple industrial and commercial cleaning companies here in our county, and the data centers that are here now have already outsourced labor from companies that live over an hour away. So if that proves anything, it doesn't really show us that they're going to be sourcing any kind of labor from anywhere local. Also, I didn't hear anybody touch, even in a closed loop water system, on top of the evaporation that's happening, toxic sludge is being created After that, wastewater systems or wastewater companies have to come through and remove the toxic sludge. We have to hope and pray that they use ethical methods of removing the toxic sludge. But as far as I am aware, these data centers are not going to be held accountable for that. That's going to be up to the wastewater systems. So
just FYI, so that question, I asked that question directly to Director Brandon White at the developer and building meeting, which is why I'm saying to everybody, I know it's a lot. Trust me, I know, because I have taken off work. I have done a whole lot of stuff to go to these meetings, but we have to show up because many of us, how many of us were at that meeting? Maybe, no. We went to the builders and developers meeting. It may have been 10 to 12 Rockdale County people, but guess how many people they brought? A whole lot more. And they were allowed to go around the tables and put stuff on the board for things that they wanted added in our UDOs until this person questioned them. And that was the question that I asked. I said, well, what are you going to do about the sludge? And you know what he said to me? What is that? Which is why you have to have the UDOs, but you also have to have people who are serious about understanding what is happening to make those laws and those ordinances so tight that they do not even want to come.
Yeah,
so
and that they're held accountable.
Yeah.
Thank
you. Give us the tax abatement breakdown.
I just wanted, hi, I'm Corliss Turner. I just want to break down the tax abatement. This is the year that they don't pay any property tax, but we will be collecting $190,000 for the sale tax from Georgia Power to be split between the county, the school, and the city. So that's all we'll get this year. Next year, the tax they will pay 10%, and it'll continue going up 10% until it gets to 100%. Mind you, this tax abatement, it's not just on property, it's on the school, and it's on their equipment. So they gave away the house, and that was Oz Nesbitt, Sherry Washington, and Commissioner Doreen Williams, who is in for the runoff. So this is how we got here.
Who's next? Where's the other microphone? Oh, here we go.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Just a general question I think would benefit everybody. At the closing of this meeting, are we going to be able to see this video again that's being,
Yes.
We'll be able to see that?
So this video, it is being live streamed right now, but it is being recorded also. So we'll, I'll post it on the Facebook group and send it out to everyone as well.
Okay, and the other thing
Yes,
is
ma'am.
I too, as is she and as Kim, Newton County and this lady here, we're fighting the same things everywhere, including Newton County. I live about a mile off of Rockdale County, but we're environment. I belong to, with this gal and several others, East Metro for Social Justice, and we're looking at everything. And this really is what's going on with these mega centers here. Affects everybody's lives environmentally, and it's about the people. It's about time. It's about the people. And another organization in Newton County is Sustainable Newton. I'm a member of a subcommittee on the environmental hazards thing. So I want to take this information we do back to our county, but we're with you 100%. And
we appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
And that's really what this is about, y'all. We really want, this is about sharing information with each other, sharing resources, getting connected with each other, and making it work.
I do want to let this young lady make an announcement. She shared with me. So
every Saturday from noon to 1:30, we have a weekly protest. So come on out and join us. We're starting to get a lot of people pay attention. It's very peaceful and calm, but we're making points to everybody. So we need more people to join us. A few of us are here right now from noon to 1:30 at Center Street, Old Town Conyers. Come and join us.
Center Street on Saturday from noon to 1:30. Protest, protest, protest. Protest, protest, protest. No.
I just had a comment because I was tagging on to like the lack of jobs being created for such a grand scale thing. I saw a lot more pushback come from when there was a Buc-ee's being proposed, and that actually would have fed into the economy here. So if we could, I don't know, somehow tie it into, you know, that was actually could have been beneficial for a lot of us, but this absolutely
At
is
least
not.
would have been some jobs.
Yeah, exactly, at a minimum, or some tax, or, you know, whatever. But I just wanted to bring that up.
That, yes. So just putting it out there as a group and in general, that we are, if anyone is an environmental attorney or knows one who would be sympathetic to our cause, any attorney really, we would love to connect with them and collaborate, because we've, like he was, as he was mentioning, so like with DC blocks, it would be the impact for someone to do something about what's happening with DC blocks now. It's going to take individual litigation, and they're going to have to get their own. Basically, is that residents themselves would need to move forward with lawsuits themselves, but that is something.
So I've seen where other counties went in and got the lawyers and stuff. I know that the NAACP said like the county has to contact them and the residents and stuff. It has to be somebody where they're showing up, and then you contact them, and you have to have people on signing the petition saying that they don't want this in the community. So how do we go? I guess get more people involved. You know, yeah, they had to vote on it, and then he said that. So then we can I talked to them, the environmental attorneys, and talk about what's going on, because that way that's the injustice to the citizens.
So just keep in mind we're still recording. If people could just kind of talk a little softer. Okay.
Yeah, feel free to have discussions, but we're still live streaming.
We're going to talk a little loud.
Okay, just like, I'm just going to echo what she said. If everyone in this room, everyone in this stadium right here, right now, can hear my voice, if you know someone or know someone that knows someone that is willing to come and help, that would be amazing. Because we need all the help we can get. We don't want to wait till next year or 2 years from, like, oh, I could have called such and such, or I could have asked such and such, or maybe somebody might be, even if they might not help, if you think that they might help us, then call them, ask them for help. Ask any and everyone that you know, because the schools, they're going to suffer, just like all the residents. The hospital, we only got one hospital here. All of that. So we need to reach out. It's not going to just happen with just these people right here, not us, by ourselves.
Thank you. So I believe, here, sorry, go ahead.
Before we leave, if you signed up for the UDO committee, if I could just see you for like 3 to 5 minutes over here, okay, at that table.
So I believe we're probably going to wrap up after this question, but please go ahead.
Okay, I am right there at the MMM proposed data center, the hyperscale. When I say right there, I'll show you right where. Okay?
There we go.
I am right here.
Wow.
I am right there.
Actually,
okay?
I'm curious. If your house is on this map right here, could you raise your hand? You live somewhere that's on this map. So you and you.
Okay,
yeah.
I'm going to just say that there are over 2,000 families that live here.
Wow.
Most of them are Mexican, do not speak English. They're all hard workers. And you know what? Most of us found out about this as an accident. Purely an accident, because somebody just happened to open their mouth. These people, I can guarantee you, do not understand what is going on. Yeah. Help me help them.
Yeah,
because
they don't know.
This is home.
Yeah, you're right.
We are right on the river. We have 2 lakes. And I cannot tell you how many kids are out there. Our kids are going to die because of this. We have got to figure out a way to stop this. Because we are not the only ones that deserve to live. Our children deserve to live, and they deserve better. And Rockdale County can do better, and we can help them do better.
That's right. That's
so
right.
if anybody knows how I can get the information to all of these residents,
Yeah, in fact, if we
please
have anybody that could
hit
help
me
us
up,
translate,
talk with me,
if we could
send
get
me a
connected, that would
message. I
be
will hand out my email
very
to
valuable. I'd
whomever.
appreciate it. Thank you. All right, everybody. So that's going to conclude the official Q&A, and we're going to wrap up the presentation. But feel free to hang out and discuss, collaborate with people. Again, we would love to get your contact information so we stay connected for future events. Thank you for coming. Thank